The Great Chicago Fire began on the evening of October 8, 1871. While the exact cause remains debated, the most famous story suggests it started in the O'Leary family's barn when a cow knocked over a lantern, igniting the hay inside. However, some historians argue that this could just be a myth, as there is no concrete proof to support the cow theory. Regardless of how it started, Chicago's rapid growth made it vulnerable to disaster. At the time, the city was built primarily with wooden structures, and the streets were dry due to a long period of hot, dry weather. The city's infrastructure, with its narrow streets and densely packed buildings, was a perfect storm for fire. The dry weather and high winds made the situation worse. When the fire broke out, the strong winds of 30 to 40 miles per hour quickly pushed the flames across large areas, overwhelming both residents and firefighters, who were ill-prepared for such a massive disaster. What started as a small fire grew rapidly and became a deadly inferno that no one could control, eventually changing the course of Chicago's future forever. As the flames spread throughout the city, the fire grew far beyond anyone's control. Within just a few hours, large parts of the city, including key commercial and residential areas, were burning. The city's wooden buildings acted like kindling, helping the fire spread quickly. The fire leaped over the Chicago River, crossing its path and igniting both sides of the city, leaving behind a trail of devastation. People fled in every direction, but the fire spread so fast that many were unable to escape. Those who couldn't reach the lakefront tried to take shelter in whatever buildings still stood, but the heat was unbearable, and many of those buildings were soon consumed as well. The Chicago Fire Department, already stretched thin, couldn't keep up with the growing flames. With only rudimentary equipment and a lack of manpower, they were unable to contain the blaze. In a matter of hours, the fire turned into a massive catastrophe. The fire caused a lot of confusion and panic, as many of the city's streets became blocked with fleeing citizens, making it harder for anyone to escape. It quickly became clear that this fire would be far worse than anything Chicago had ever experienced before. By the time the fire finally burned out early on October 9th, the destruction was immense. The flames had destroyed over 3.3 square miles of the city, including 17,000 buildings, leaving around 100,000 people homeless. Entire neighborhoods had been wiped off the map, including downtown commercial areas and residential districts. The fire spared almost nothing, and Chicago's iconic buildings and institutions were left in ruins. The Chicago Water Tower, one of the only structures to survive, became a symbol of the city's resilience. Over 300 people died in the fire, though some estimates suggest the number could have been higher, as many people were unaccounted for. The damage was so extensive that it was hard to imagine how the city could ever recover. Thousands were injured, and many were left without shelter, clothing, or food. The aftermath of the fire also revealed the city's lack of preparedness for such a disaster. The fire wiped out nearly everything in its path, but what followed, the rebuilding process, would eventually turn this tragedy into a catalyst for change, transforming Chicago into a model of modern urban planning and fire safety. After the flames died down, Chicagoans began the long process of recovery and rebuilding. Despite the overwhelming loss, the fire presented an opportunity for a fresh start. The devastation encouraged the adoption of new construction techniques and fire-resistant materials, replacing the previous reliance on wood. Chicago's leaders were determined to rebuild a stronger, safer city. Architects and engineers saw this as a chance to push the boundaries of design and construction, leading to the rise of modern skyscrapers. The introduction of brick, stone, and steel for new buildings changed the landscape of the city forever. Additionally, the fire led to the creation of the Chicago Building Code, one of the first major citywide regulations aimed at fire safety. This code set standards for how buildings were constructed, incorporating measures to prevent fires and promote public safety. The rebuilding of Chicago took many years, but the fire's aftermath acted as a catalyst for a new vision for the city, one of modernity, resilience, and better urban planning that would set the foundation for the city's future. The social impact of the Great Chicago Fire was profound. Thousands of people were left homeless, and entire communities were displaced, particularly Chicago's immigrant populations. These immigrant communities, many of whom had come to America to escape hardship in their home countries, found themselves facing another devastating blow. Despite the suffering, the disaster also led to a strong sense of community and solidarity among Chicagoans. Relief efforts from within the city and across the nation were swift, with local and national organizations raising funds, providing food, clothing, and medical care for those affected. The fire also exposed the challenges faced by the poor and working-class residents of the city, who were often living in crowded, unsafe conditions. This sparked social and political movements that sought to address the inequality that had been exacerbated by the fire. The Great Chicago Fire, though a tragedy, also brought people together, creating a stronger, more unified community committed to rebuilding not just their homes, but also their city's spirit. The recovery efforts would lay the groundwork for future reforms, both in urban planning and in the city's approach to social issues. Today, Chicago stands as a testament to resilience and innovation, with much of the city's modern identity shaped by the Great Fire of 1871. The fire dramatically transformed the city, leading to its reinvention as a major hub of commerce, culture, and architecture. Chicago's iconic skyline, filled with towering skyscrapers, emerged after the fire, representing a new era of urban growth and architectural innovation. The fire's aftermath also shaped the way cities across the world approached fire safety, urban planning, and disaster recovery. Chicago became a model for modern infrastructure with the introduction of fire-resistant materials and the establishment of comprehensive building codes. Monuments like the Chicago Fire Memorial and museums such as the Chicago History Museum continue to preserve the memory of the fire and its impact on the city. While the disaster was tragic, the Great Chicago Fire ultimately led to the rebirth of the city, making it one of the most important urban centers in the United States. Its legacy lives on in the resilient, innovative spirit of Chicago, showing how cities can overcome even the greatest of disasters and emerge stronger than before. Thanks for watching the Great Chicago Fire Story. Like and subscribe for more history.